Who are you? What's your role? And where do you work?
Hi, my name is Mike Stefaniak. I lead the product management teams at AWS for our Kubernetes service, Elastic Kubernetes Service, or EKS, and Elastic Container Registry, or ECR.
What are 3 emerging Kubernetes tools or trends that you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, a few things I've seen here at KubeCon. One, we've talked a lot about developer portals for a lot of years, and I've been hearing about shifting left of developer portals, or instead of central place that people go, I'm hearing a lot of end users moving more into the IDE with plugins. So developers spend more time in the IDE to get stuff done, less in a central portal. 2, I would say Kubernetes native cloud resource management. I think traditional infrastructure as code tools like CloudFormation, Terraform have been around for a long time, but more and more I'm hearing people looking towards Kubernetes native tools to manage their infrastructure. Like we have a project called ACK, AWS Controllers for Kubernetes, and that allows you, for example, a developer to define their application alongside their supporting infrastructure like an S3 bucket. 3, I would say security, still top of mind. Finer grain security. AWS, we released an open source project called Cedar. We introduced a preview of an authorizer for that in Kubernetes. And then we just introduced a KEP, an upstream proposal enhancement for more fine-grained authorization in Kubernetes. So that's been another trend. Security, it's always top of mind for us.
One of our podcast guests, Ben Poland, thinks, for a platform team, you want to empower anyone to make the changes they need rather than centralizing everything. How do you balance self-service capabilities with governance in platform engineering?
I think it's somewhat similar to what I mentioned at the beginning of shifting left, giving developers more authority. A central portal that they go to, it can still be helpful to maybe to read docs, but even that, like, as long as your LLM or you have a model that's fine-tuned on your company's best practices and infrastructure and documentation, they can get most of the stuff done in an IDE. And a lot of end users and customers I've talked to are moving to that model where it's less of a central, like the platform team still exists, but they're building plugins for IDEs instead of building central platforms that people are going to. So I would tend to agree, and I'm actually seeing that with some of the more advanced platform engineering teams starting to shift left and put more where their developers are used to work.
Another guest of ours, Andrew, believes that the average software developer shouldn't need to understand Kubernetes YAML indentation and specs. Should platform teams completely abstract Kubernetes away from developers, or is some Kubernetes knowledge essential for application teams?
And I've talked to thousands of customers over the years. I've seen everything from we're just going to give every team a cluster, all the way to container as a service, completely abstract everything away. I'd say the 2 extremes, neither of them work well. Kubernetes is designed for a model somewhere in the middle. Should your developers have to understand everything about Kubernetes? Absolutely not. You want to build abstractions, paved path, best practices, but I think it's a mistake to completely hide that their application is running in Kubernetes, especially because for application developers, the Kubernetes ecosystem, there's so much out there for them to get started. If you want to run a Spark application, you're not starting from scratch, right? You can go out and look in the community. So no, I would say it's a mistake to hide everything. I would also say it's a mistake to show them everything. It's somewhere in the middle.
Our podcast guest, Mark, thinks that with Kubernetes, it's quite easy to pay more than necessary because you pay for allocated or provisioned infrastructure, machines you start that are often underused. What strategies do you use to optimize Kubernetes costs?
There's 2 layers when it comes to optimization in Kubernetes. The optimization of nodes and then optimization of applications. Optimization of nodes, at least at AWS, we feel is a pretty well-solved problem now. We launched an open source, the Carpenter project, several years ago. It's become the de facto standard. It's taken over. Cluster autoscaler is the most commonly used node autoscaling solution. So with Carpenter, you don't have to think about hundreds of different instance types. You just submit your application requirements, let Carpenter pick the best compute for your workloads. And if you want a more managed experience on EKS, we have Auto Mode, which is a managed version of Carpenter and is even more hands-off. The application layer is more challenging. We see customers struggle there. It's a harder problem. You have to figure out if you want to Generally, you're going to solve auto-scaling vertically as well as horizontally. Horizontally, we see as more of a short-term respond to spikes. Some mistakes people might make is only looking at CPU and memory. You might look at a project like Kata because you want to horizontally scale on other metrics. Vertically, scaling is more of a long-term approach. You might look over several weeks to figure out how can we long-term optimize. So those two taken together are generally, I think, more of an unsolved problem. There's lots of tools and resources, but it is a hard problem. So I think application scaling is the bigger challenge now, and it's something we're thinking about. Whereas node scaling, we feel is a pretty well-solved problem at this point.
And Mike, what are most people getting wrong about platform engineering?
I would say a shift we're starting to see in our, 5 years ago, our EKS customers, they wanted the managed Kubernetes control plane, and they wanted to install every other add-on and do everything themselves. We're starting to see a shift both from new to Kubernetes customers, but even our long-time, more advanced who are saying, there's not a ton of value in me managing every single add-on in my cluster. And using managed services, at EKS, we have features like add-ons, auto mode, managed capabilities, just freeing up some more time, putting some of that heavy lifting to the managed service so you don't have to worry about it. Teams that are still, running 30 add-ons in a cluster in themselves, I would say that's a mistake in getting it wrong right now with platform engineering.
What's next for you?
Well, it's reInvent season for us at AWS, so we have a lot of launches coming up. We had several we announced this week, but keep your eyes out on the AWS news over the next couple of weeks. Some really exciting innovations for both EKS and ECR. That's going to keep me busy over the next month.
How can people get in touch with you, Mike?
LinkedIn is the easiest way. I would say connect with me on there and we can chat.